On a dry stretch of golden grassland, a young painted wolf named Nala stood over her newborn pups. They were barely a week old, small enough to fit beneath her chin, their eyes still closed to the wide and dangerous world. But something was terribly wrong. The pups could breathe and cry, yet their tiny legs refused to move. They could not crawl toward her warmth or cling to her fur like healthy newborns. Nala nudged each one gently, her nose trembling, waiting for even the smallest response. Nothing came except faint, broken whimpers that drifted into the open air. She circled them again and again, torn between instinct and fear. The grass swayed softly around her, but danger lived in every rustle. Minutes stretched into an unbearable silence. Her body shook with tension as she let out a low, aching call that carried across the plains. Still, the pups lay helpless. Finally, with a heart that felt as if it were breaking apart, she stepped backward. She paused once more, then slowly turned and walked into the tall grass. She did not run. Each step seemed heavier than the last, as though she carried an invisible weight. Behind her, the pups cried louder, sensing the absence they could not understand. Time passed under the hot sun. The cries weakened as exhaustion set in. The air grew strangely still until heavy footsteps approached from the distance. A large male lion named Kovu wandered nearby, his pace slow and steady. He was not searching for prey. His belly was already full. Yet something about the thin, desperate sounds drew his attention. He lifted his head and listened carefully, then followed the faint calls until he found the fragile bundle of pups lying exposed against the earth. He towered over them, powerful and silent. One quick motion could have ended their lives, and nature would have accepted it without question. Instead, Kovu lowered himself beside them. The pups, driven only by instinct, pressed their small bodies into the warmth of his mane. Their cries softened until they finally stopped. The lion did nothing but remain still, offering quiet protection that defied the expectations of the wild. Not long after, Nala returned cautiously. She had not gone far. Every step away from her pups had filled her with dread. When she saw the massive lion lying beside them, her body froze. This was the moment she had feared most. Yet the scene before her made no sense. The lion did not snarl or rise to attack. He simply watched her with calm, steady eyes. She edged closer, trembling but determined. The air between them was heavy with uncertainty, but neither made a hostile move. Her pups stirred faintly, alive beneath the lion's silent guard. Their fragile peace was soon threatened. A group of hyenas appeared at the edge of the clearing, drawn by the earlier cries. Their laughter echoed across the grass as they circled, calculating their chances. Nala's panic surged. She knew she could not fight both the lion and the scavengers while protecting her helpless young. She released a sharp, desperate call that rang with fear. The pups whimpered again, and the hyenas crept closer, sensing opportunity. Kovu rose slowly, his muscles tightening beneath his thick mane. Without roaring or rushing wildly, he positioned himself between the pups and the approaching threat. The hyenas hesitated but continued to test the boundaries, edging nearer with hungry eyes. One grew bold enough to advance too far. In an instant, the lion charged forward like a rolling storm. He struck the ground near the hyena with explosive force, sending it tumbling backward. He did not kill or chase. His message was clear enough. The rest of the pack scattered, their confidence shattered. Silence returned, broken only by the soft breathing of the pups. Nala collapsed beside her babies, her legs shaking from fear and relief. She checked each one carefully, nudging them close as if to reassure herself they were real. Kovu lay down again, calm and unmoving, as though guarding fragile treasures rather than prey. The sun drifted lower, painting the sky with deep orange light. Night would soon bring new dangers. The lion lifted his head and scanned the horizon, alert and thoughtful. After a long while, he stood and stepped a short distance away, creating a path through the grass. His movements seemed deliberate, almost encouraging. Nala watched him carefully, then understood. With gentle precision, she began lifting each pup one by one. Their bodies hung limp against her sides, but they were alive. She carried them slowly, never rushing, pausing only to adjust her grip. Kovu walked ahead, placing himself between her and the open plains like a silent shield. The strange partnership lasted only minutes, yet it felt timeless. At the edge of the tall grass, Nala paused and looked back at the lion. No words existed for what had happened, but the gratitude in her eyes was unmistakable. She disappeared into the thick cover, carrying her pups toward safety. Kovu remained where he was until her scent faded into the wind. Only then did he turn and walk back toward his own territory, leaving no sign of his unusual act behind. Days later, faint tracks appeared along a dusty trail, small paw prints uneven but growing stronger with each step. Nala's pups survived. They learned first to crawl, then to stand, and eventually to follow their mother through the grasslands. Rangers who heard the story spoke quietly about the lion who chose patience over instinct. They did not call him a king or a hunter. They said he had simply protected life when it needed protection most. Stories like this remind us that even in harsh environments, moments of unexpected compassion can change everything. If this tale moved you or made you see the wild from a different perspective, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe so more people can experience stories that celebrate courage, survival, and the surprising connections that exist in nature. Top of form.